The massive council station floated in space like a metal city. Its silver walls stretched for miles in every direction. Ships from dozens of worlds docked at its ports every day. Commander Jake Sullivan pressed his face against the small window of his transport ship and watched the station grow larger as they approached. "First time seeing it up close?" asked Dr. Lisa Martinez from the seat beside him. She was reading through her notes one more time before their meeting. "Yeah," Jake replied. "Hard to believe they built something this big just for meetings." Lisa looked up from her papers. "It's not just for meetings. This place controls trade routes for half the galaxy. Every ship that wants to travel between star systems has to get permission from here." Jake nodded but kept staring out the window. Earth had been part of the Galactic Council for 50 years now. 50 years since the Zephyrians found them during humanity's first attempts at faster-than-light travel. 50 years of being treated like children who needed constant watching. Their transport ship docked with a soft thud. Jake and Lisa gathered their belongings and walked through the airlock into the station. The main corridor was huge. Aliens of all shapes and sizes walked past them. Some looked almost human except for different colored skin or extra arms. Others were so strange that Jake couldn't tell which end was their head. "Stay close," Lisa whispered. "We don't want to get lost in here." They followed signs written in dozens of languages toward the main council chamber. Along the way, they passed shops selling goods from across the galaxy and restaurants serving food that Jake couldn't identify. The air smelled like flowers mixed with something metallic. A tall, blue-skinned Zephyrian in a formal robe approached them. "Commander Sullivan and Dr. Martinez, I am Guide Veltar. The council is ready for you." Jake and Lisa followed the alien down another long corridor. The walls here were covered with symbols and writing from different worlds. Jake tried to read some of them but gave up quickly. "How many species are in the council?" Jake asked their guide. "Currently, there are 47 member species," Veltar replied without looking back, "though only 5 hold permanent seats on the primary council." "And how long have humans been members?" "You have been under council protection for 50 of your years, still quite new by our standards." Jake caught the word protection and frowned. That's what they always called it, protection, not membership, not partnership. Protection. The council chamber was enormous. The ceiling disappeared into darkness high above them. 5 massive chairs sat on a raised platform at the far end of the room. Smaller seats for the other member species filled the space below. Jake and Lisa were directed to 2 small chairs near the back. "Welcome," boomed a voice from above. Jake looked up to see a creature that looked like it was made of living crystal sitting in the center chair. "We gather today to address concerns about the human expansion." Jake felt his stomach tighten. This wasn't supposed to be about human expansion. They were here for the monthly trade discussions. A Zephyrian in gold robes stood from the chair to the right. This was Primarch Zethtar, the most powerful member of the council. Over the past 10 years, humans have established colonies in 17 star systems. This rapid expansion concerns us. "We're only settling empty worlds," Jake called out, standing from his chair. "We're not taking anyone's territory." "Sit down," Zethtar commanded. His voice echoed through the chamber. "You will speak when given permission." Jake felt his face grow hot but sat back down. Lisa grabbed his arm and squeezed it gently. "The human species shows disturbing tendencies," continued another council member. This one looked like a blob of purple energy contained in a metal suit. "They turn every new technology into a weapon. They fight among themselves constantly. They expand without asking for guidance." "We've been at peace for over 30 years, Lisa said, standing carefully. "Our expansion has been approved by this council every step of the way." "Your expansion ends now," Zethtar announced. The chamber fell silent. Even the other member species seemed surprised. The council has decided that humanity requires closer supervision. Jake felt cold fear creep up his spine. "What does that mean?" "Effective immediately. All human military vessels will be transferred to council control. Human colonies beyond, your original 3 systems will be placed under direct council administration. Human genetic material will be modified to reduce aggressive tendencies." The words hit Jake like a physical blow. Lisa gasped beside him. Around the chamber, representatives from other species shifted uncomfortably in their seats. "You can't be serious," Jake managed to say. "Furthermore," Zethtar continued as if Jake hadn't spoken, "all humans will be relocated to designated worlds where they can be properly monitored and protected from themselves." "This is insane." Lisa stood up, her voice shaking with anger. "We're not your prisoners. We're supposed to be members of this council." "You are under our protection," replied the crystal being, "as are all species who lack the wisdom to govern themselves properly." Jake looked around the chamber at the other member species. Most wouldn't meet his eyes. A few looked angry but said nothing. He realized with growing horror that humanity wasn't the first species to hear these words. "How long do we have?" Jake asked quietly. "You will return to Earth immediately," Zethtar said. "You have 72 hours to deliver our decision to your government. They will have 24 hours to respond with their compliance plan. And if we refuse..." Zethtar's golden eyes seemed to glow brighter. "No species has ever refused council protection. We trust that humanity will not be the first to make such a foolish choice." The meaning was clear. Jake felt Lisa grab his arm, again this time to steady herself. "The session is concluded," announced the crystal being. "Guards will escort you to your ship." Two massive robot guards appeared beside their chairs. They weren't pointing weapons, but Jake could see energy cores glowing in their chests. As they walked back through the corridors, Jake's mind raced. 72 hours to get back to Earth. 24 hours for the government to respond. It wasn't enough time. But looking at the guards beside them and thinking about the size of the Council's fleet, Jake wondered if any amount of time would be enough. Their transport ship was ready when they reached the docking bay. As they strapped themselves in for the journey home, Lisa finally spoke. "They've done this before, haven't they?" "To other species," Jake nodded grimly. "That's why there are only 47 member species instead of hundreds. The others are all under protection." The ship pulled away from the station and jumped to faster than light speed. As the stars blurred past the windows, Jake wondered what Earth's leaders would say when they heard the Council's ultimatum. Would they fight? Could they fight? Behind them, the Council station continued its slow orbit around Nexus Prime. Inside, the 5 ruling species began planning for humanity's integration into their empire. They had done this many times before. It was always the same. A few threats, a show of force, and another species would quietly accept their place in the Council's order. They had no idea that this time would be different. The emergency message from Jake Sullivan reached Earth 36 hours before his ship arrived. President Alex Thompson sat in the underground war room beneath the White House, reading the transmission for the 5th time. Around the long metal table, Earth's top leaders waited for him to speak. "So they want to cage us," said General Sam Wright, his weathered face hard as stone. "Just like we thought they would. The timeline is too short," Admiral Kate Morrison said, tapping her fingers on the table. 72 hours to get back to the station, 24 hours to respond. They're not giving us time to think. President Thompson looked up from the message. "Good thing we've been thinking about this for 2 years already." He pressed a button on the table. The lights dimmed and a holographic display appeared in the center of the room. It showed a detailed map of the solar system, but this version had dozens of red dots that weren't on any public charts. "Project Prometheus is ready?" Thompson asked. General Wright nodded. "As ready as we can make it. Dr. Foster's team finished the last batch of ships 3 weeks ago. All crews are trained and standing by." Dr. Amy Foster, a small woman with gray hair and tired eyes, activated her tablet. The hologram changed to show technical drawings of sleek warships. 200 ships total, each one faster and better armed than anything the Council has. "Our new drive system doesn't need their jump gates." "The weapons?" asked Thompson. "Tested and ready. We reverse-engineered everything from the wrecks we found in the outer systems." Dr. Foster's voice grew excited despite the serious situation. The Council has been hiding those crash sites for thousands of years. They didn't want anyone to know what happened to the species who refused to join them. Admiral Morrison leaned forward. "Tell him about the archaeological sites." Dr. Foster nodded and changed the display again. Now it showed images of ruined cities on dead worlds. We've found evidence of at least 30 different species that the Council wiped out. They weren't primitive. Some had technology more advanced than what the Council uses now. They've been doing this for a long time, said Colonel Pete Jackson, speaking for the first time. His special operations teams had been the ones exploring the hidden ruins. Every species that said no got destroyed. Then the Council erased them from history. President Thompson stood and walked to the hologram. He touched one of the ruined cities, and the image zoomed in to show broken towers and empty streets. This is what they do to species who won't obey. Not this time, General Wright said quietly. Maria, what about our people in Council space? Thompson asked. Maria Santos, Earth's top intelligence operative, consulted her notes. We have agents embedded with 12 different species. Most of them are getting tired of Council rule. The Antarans especially. They've been talking about rebellion for years. Will they fight with us? If we prove we can win, yes. Nobody wants to be the first to stand up to the Council. But if someone else goes first? Maria shrugged. Half the galaxy would join us. Thompson returned to his seat. Walk me through the plan one more time. General Wright activated a new display. This one showed the entire galaxy with shipping lanes marked in blue and military bases marked in red. Phase 1 starts the moment Jake gets back to the Council station. While he's delivering our message, our ships move into position. The Council's strength comes from their jump gate network, Dr. Foster added. Every ship has to use their gates to travel between systems except ours. We hit all the major gates at once, continued Wright. Disable them, don't destroy them. We want to control travel, not stop it forever. Phase 2 is the fleet actions, Admiral Morrison said. Council forces will be scattered and unable to coordinate. We take out their military bases and capture their command ships. What about their home worlds? Thompson asked. We avoid civilian targets completely, Wright replied firmly. This is about removing their government, not genocide. The people on Council worlds aren't our enemies. Colonel Jackson spoke up again. My teams have identified the leadership bunkers on each Council world. Fast strikes to capture the leaders, not kill them. Thompson nodded approvingly. Good. We're not becoming what they are. He looked around the table. How long until Jake gets back? 6 hours, Morrison answered. And our ships? Already moving, Wright said. By the time Jake delivers our message, we'll be in position. Thompson stood again and walked to the window. Outside, he could see the lights of Washington, D.C. Normal people going about their normal lives, not knowing that everything was about to change. Sir? Dr. Foster said hesitantly. There's something else you should know. Thompson turned back to the table. The archaeological teams found something else in those ruins, technical specifications for weapons we haven't seen before. The species the Council destroyed weren't helpless. They fought back hard. What happened to them then? Near as we can tell, they trusted someone they shouldn't have. Probably thought they could make a deal. Dr. Foster's expression was grim. The Council pretended to negotiate while they prepared a surprise attack. They won't surprise us, Wright said. We're hitting first. What about the other member species? Thompson asked Maria. The ones who aren't fighting? Most of them are scared, Maria replied. They've seen what happens to species who oppose the Council, but they're also tired of being treated like children. If we can show them it's possible to win, they'll join us, Thompson finished. How many ships does the Council have? About 800 spread across the galaxy, Morrison answered. But most are old and slow. Their technology hasn't improved much in the last 1,000 years. They haven't needed to improve it. Because nobody ever fought back before, Wright added. Thompson returned to his seat and looked at each person around the table. These were Earth's best and brightest. Scientists, soldiers, spies, and politicians who had spent 2 years preparing for this moment. Any regrets? He asked. About what? Wright replied. About not trying to negotiate, about not seeing if we could find a peaceful solution. The room was quiet for a moment. Then Dr. Foster spoke. Sir, we studied those ruins for months. Every Species tried to negotiate. Every species looked for a peaceful way out. The Council doesn't want partners. They want servants. And if we lose? Thompson asked. Then at least we'll lose fighting, Morrison said. Better than living on our knees. Thompson nodded slowly. All right then. Send the message to all fleet commanders. Operation Freedom begins in 6 hours. As the meeting broke up, Thompson remained in his chair. In 6 hours, Jake Sullivan would deliver humanity's response to the Council. Not the surrender they expected, but a declaration of war. The President of Earth opened his desk drawer and pulled out a small photo of his grandchildren. After tomorrow, they would either live in a free galaxy or not live at all, but they would never live as slaves. Computer, prepare recording equipment, he said to the room. I need to record a message for Commander Sullivan to deliver. The holographic display disappeared, replaced by a simple camera. Thompson straightened his tie and began to speak. His words would either free the galaxy or doom humanity, but they would be heard. Jake Sullivan and Dr. Lisa Martinez walked through the Council station corridors again. This time felt different. Jake carried a small device in his pocket that would project President Thompson's message. Lisa clutched a folder with documents they wouldn't need, but it helped her hand stop shaking. Remember, Jake whispered as they approached the Council chamber, we just deliver the message and leave. Don't argue with them. Lisa nodded. How long until our ships are in position? Jake checked his watch. 20 minutes. The same enormous chamber waited for them. The 5 ruling species sat in their massive chairs like judges about to pass sentence. The other member species filled the smaller seats below. Jake noticed more empty chairs today than before. Humans, boomed Primarch Zethtar from his golden throne. Have you brought your government's surrender? Jake stepped forward and pulled out the projection device. We have a message from President Thompson. We do not need to hear from your leader, said the crystal being. Your answer is either yes or no. The president insisted, Jake replied. He activated the device before anyone could stop him. A life-sized image of President Thompson appeared in the middle of the chamber. The president wore his best suit and stood behind the presidential podium. His voice was calm and clear. Members of the Galactic Council, I am President Alex Thompson of Earth. You have demanded that humanity surrender our freedom, our ships, and our future to your control. Angry mutters rose from the 5 ruling chairs. Zethtar started to stand, but Thompson continued speaking. We have studied your history. We know what happened to the 30 species who refused your protection before us. We found their ruins, we found their records. We know how you destroyed them and erased them from memory. The chamber fell silent. Even the other member species looked shocked. This wasn't how these meetings usually went. Humanity's answer is, no, we will not surrender. We will not accept your protection. Instead, we offer you a choice. Thompson's image walked closer to the camera. His eyes seemed to look directly at each council member. You have 48 hours to dissolve the council. Government. Release all member species from your control. Open all technology for free trade between worlds. Recognize the right of every species to govern themselves. This is madness, hissed the purple energy being. If you refuse, Thompson continued, humanity will consider the Council a hostile force and act accordingly. We will not fire the first shot, but we will fire the last one. The projection ended. The chamber erupted in noise. Council members shouted at each other in different languages. Representatives from member species talked excitedly among themselves. Zethtar's voice cut through the chaos. Silence. The chamber went quiet. You dare threaten us? Zethtar stood from his chair. He was 12 feet tall, and his golden robes seemed to glow with their own light. You pathetic insects think you can challenge the power that rules this galaxy. Jake felt very small looking up at the alien leader, but he thought about the hidden fleet and the archaeological evidence. We don't think we can challenge you. We know we can beat you. Zethtar laughed, a sound like breaking glass. Beat us? You have what, 50 ships? We command fleets of thousands. 837 ships, Lisa said quietly. We counted. The council members looked at each other. How did the humans know their exact fleet size? And most of them are over 300 years old, Jake added. Using technology you haven't improved since you stopped worrying about real threats. Enough, roared the crystal being. Guard captain, arrest these terrorists. Robot guards moved toward Jake and Lisa. But before they could reach them, alarms began blaring throughout the station. Red lights flashed in the chamber. A communications officer rushed up to Zethtar's chair. Sir, we're receiving emergency signals from the jump gates. Something's wrong. Zethtar activated a holographic display above his chair. It showed the galaxy-wide jump gate network. Red warning symbols appeared on dozens of gates across known space. What is this? Zethtar demanded. More reports came in. Gate Alpha 7 is offline. Gate systems throughout the rim sectors are shutting down. We're losing contact with our fleets. Jake smiled for the first time in days. I told you we knew we could beat you. The display showed more gates going offline every second. Without the jump gate network, the Council's scattered fleets couldn't coordinate or even communicate effectively. How? Whispered Dr. Martinez, looking at the display. She knew the plan, but seeing it happen was still amazing. While you were busy making threats, Jake said, our ships were already moving. We don't need your gates to travel. We never did. A new alarm sounded. This one was different, more urgent. A tactical officer ran up to the crystal being's chair. Sir, we have unidentified ships appearing throughout Council space. They're attacking our military bases. The holographic display changed to show ship movements. Blue dots representing human vessels appeared near red dots marking Council bases. The blue dots were moving fast and the red dots were disappearing. Impossible, Zethtar said. Our sensors would have detected a fleet that large. Your sensors look for ships using jump gates, Lisa explained. Our ships don't use gates. They've been moving into position for the last 2 days. More reports flooded in. Council military bases at Rigel Prime, Vega Station, and the Outer Rim fortresses all reported coming under attack. The attacking ships were using weapons and shields more advanced than anything in Council records. Sir, called another officer, we're receiving surrender demands from the attacking forces. They want our base commanders to stand down and prepare. For boarding? Never, Zethtar snarled. Launch all remaining fleets, destroy every human world. Sir, most of our fleets can't move. Without the jump gates, they're stranded. Then use the ships we have here. The defense fleet is already launching, the officer replied. Through the chamber's great windows, Jake and Lisa could see Council warships leaving the station. Dozens of gray vessels headed toward the nearest human colonies. You've doomed your entire species, Zethtar told Jake. When our ships reach your worlds, we will show no mercy. Jake looked at his watch again. Your ships won't reach our worlds. Why not? Because they're about to run into Captain Tony Blake and the Home Defense Fleet. On the holographic display, new blue dots appeared between the Council ships and human space. The Council fleet found itself facing an equal number of human vessels that seemed to appear from nowhere. The space battle began immediately. Energy beams and missiles flew between the two fleets, but it became clear quickly that the human ships were faster and better armed. One by one, Council ships disappeared from the display. This cannot be happening, the purple energy being said. It is happening, Jake replied. And it's happening everywhere. Your empire is falling apart. Throughout the chamber, representatives from member species watched the displays with growing excitement. Some began talking among themselves about joining the human rebellion. The Antaran Republic has just declared independence, reported a communications officer. They're asking to join the Human Alliance. The Silicon Collective is no longer responding to Council commands, said another. Their machine ships are joining the human fleet. Zethtar looked around the chamber with growing desperation. His 1,000-year empire was crumbling in a single day. We can negotiate, he said finally. Jake shook his head. Too late for that. You had your chance to negotiate. You chose threats instead. More species declared independence every few minutes. The holographic display showed the Council's control shrinking rapidly, as their military forces were defeated or surrendered. Guards seize the humans, Zethtar ordered, but the robot guards didn't move. Their control signals came through the same network that was failing throughout Council space. Jake and Lisa walked toward the chamber exit. "When you're ready to surrender," Jake called back, "send a message to Captain Blake. He'll be the one." In orbit around this station in about an hour. As they left the chamber, they could hear the 5 council leaders arguing among themselves. Their empire was ending, and they had no idea how to stop it. Captain Tony Blake stood on the bridge of his flagship as it moved toward the council station. Around him, 50 human warships maintained perfect formation. Behind them, ships from 12 different species followed in loose groups. The Antaran Republic had sent 20 vessels. The Silicon Collective brought their sleek machine ships. Even some former council species had joined them. "Captain," his communications officer called out, "we're receiving a surrender signal from the station." Tony looked at the massive structure growing larger on the main screen. "Put it through." Primarch Zethtar's face appeared on the display. The golden alien looked older than before. His proud bearing was gone, replaced by defeat. "Human Captain, I am prepared to discuss terms." "There are no terms to discuss," Tony replied calmly. "Surrender is unconditional. You and the other council leaders will be taken into custody. Your government is finished. You cannot simply destroy thousands of years of galactic order. We're not destroying it. We're replacing it." The conversation ended. Within an hour, shuttles from the human fleet docked with the council station. Colonel Pete Jackson led the boarding teams through the corridors where Jake and Lisa had walked just days before. They met no resistance. The robot guards had been shut down. Most council staff had already abandoned their posts. The 5 council leaders waited in the main chamber. They sat in their massive chairs like statues, staring at nothing. When Jackson's soldiers entered, they offered no resistance. "It's over," Jackson told them simply. "Come with us." Dr. Steve Parker followed the soldiers into the chamber. He was a xenoarchaeologist who had spent months studying the ruins of destroyed civilizations. As he looked at the council leaders, he thought about all the species they had wiped out over the centuries. "The records," he said to Zethtar. "Where are the complete historical records?" The fallen Primarch looked at him with tired eyes. "Why do you want them? To gloat over your victory? To make sure this never happens again? People need to know the truth about what you did." Zethtar was silent for a long moment. Then he gestured toward a hidden panel in the wall. "Everything is there. The locations of the worlds we destroyed, the species we erased, all of it." Dr. Parker nodded to his team. They would spend months going through those records, but finally, the galaxy would know its real history. 3 weeks later, representatives from 43 different species gathered at the renamed Unity Station. The council's meeting chamber had been rebuilt. Instead of 5 massive thrones looking down on everyone else, there were rows of equal seats arranged in a circle. President Alex Thompson stood at the center podium. He had been elected as the first chancellor of the Free Species Alliance just days before. Around him sat beings he was only beginning to know. Antarans with their blue skin and 4 arms. Silicon machines with glowing electronic minds, species that had been hidden under council rule for centuries. "Friends," Thompson began, "we gather today not as rulers and subjects, but as equals." The chamber was quiet. Many of these species had never been allowed to speak as equals before. The old council claimed they brought order to the galaxy, but their order was built on fear and control. Today we start something new, an alliance based on cooperation, not domination. Ambassador Rachel Kim sat in the human section, taking notes. She would be Earth's permanent representative to the new government. Next to her sat Dr. Lisa Martinez, who had been appointed as head of the new Archaeological Commission. Their job was to locate and study all the worlds the Council had destroyed. "The Free Species Alliance will have no permanent leaders," Thompson continued. "No species that rules over others. We will make decisions together or not at all." A tall Antaran stood up. "What about trade? The Council controlled all shipping routes." "Trade will be free," Thompson replied. Any species can trade with any other species, no permits needed, no restrictions. And technology? Asked a Silicon Collective representative. Its voice came from speakers built into its metal body. Open to everyone. We've already begun sharing our jump drive technology. Within a year, every species will be able to travel freely without depending on gate networks. Dr. Foster had spent weeks teaching alien scientists how to build the new drives. It was complicated work, but it would free every species from depending on centralized transportation. More questions came from around the chamber. What about defense? What about disputes between species? What about the former council leaders? Thompson answered each one carefully. The Alliance would have a small defense force made up of volunteers from all member species. Disputes would be settled by neutral arbitrators chosen by both sides. The former council leaders would be held under house arrest on a peaceful world, where they could live out their lives without hurting anyone else. What about species that don't want to join the Alliance? Asked a representative from a world Thompson didn't recognize. Then they don't join, Thompson said simply. No one will be forced to be part of this alliance. No one will be invaded for choosing independence. The days of forced membership are over. The session lasted for hours. By the end, 38 species had signed the Alliance Charter. 5 others wanted time to think about it. None refused outright. As the representatives filed out of the chamber, Jake Sullivan approached the podium. He had been promoted to admiral and put in charge of Alliance military coordination. How do you think it went? Thompson asked. Better than I hoped, Jake replied. A few months ago, most of these species were afraid to speak above a whisper. Now they're arguing about trade policies and voting procedures. That's a good thing, Thompson said with a smile. Arguments mean they're not afraid anymore. Dr. Parker joined them at the podium. He looked tired, but excited. We've identified 17 worlds where destroyed species might have survivors. Hidden colonies, refugee settlements, places the Council never found. How many species? At least 8, maybe more. We're sending rescue ships next week. Thompson nodded. Every species they could save from extinction was a victory against the old Council's legacy. Sir, Jake said, there's something else. Our deep space scouts have detected signals from beyond the galactic rim. There might be other civilizations out there that the Council never contacted. Hostile? Thompson asked. Unknown. But if they exist, they deserve to know that the galaxy is free now. 6 months later, Thompson stood on the observation deck of Unity Station and watched ships from dozens of worlds coming and going. Trade vessels, exploration ships, passenger transports carrying beings who had never been allowed to travel before. The galaxy was more alive than it had been in centuries. Lisa Martinez joined him at the window. The latest reports from the archaeological teams, she said, handing him a tablet. Thompson read through the findings. 7 extinct species had living survivors who were returning to rebuild their homeworlds. 3 destroyed civilizations were sharing advanced technologies they had hidden from the Council. The galaxy was learning things that had been lost for thousands of years. Any regrets? Lisa asked. Thompson thought about the question seriously. The war had been swift, but people had still died. The transition hadn't been easy for everyone. Some species struggled with their new freedom after centuries of being told what to do. No, he said finally. We gave them a choice. Some chose to stay isolated. Some joined us. Some started their own alliances. But they all got to choose. Through the station's great windows, they could see construction ships working on new sections. Unity Station was growing every month as more species joined the alliance. Soon it would be twice the size of the old Council station. The Council was right about one thing, Thompson said. What's that? The galaxy did need order, just not their kind of order. Lisa smiled. Our kind of order? No, Thompson replied, watching a group of young beings from different worlds playing together in the station's garden. Their kind of order, the kind that comes from free people choosing to work together. The galaxy had found its voice again. And it was singing.